All right, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, I want to talk about this topic again. Eric and I had a very lively debate, and I went back and did some more research about this whole thing with Jamal Charlo and the incident that happened in Texas before his brother's fight against Brian Castano at the club. The whole incident at the club, and him being charged with a felony of robbery, actually, right? So he was charged with he was arrested on felony robbery charges. All right, and Eric and we had a very heated debate on Saturday, and some people on Twitter now chiming in, and I stand by what I said. I think that the whole thing was blown out of proportion. I don't think Charlo stole anything. And I'm going to read some information that I found to kind of support what I said. Right. So I think this whole thing was blown out of proportion. And when I go over all of this information that I found here, I think that my point is pretty clear. And I think that I've made it. And I think this information supports what I said on Sunday. I basically think that Charlo was upset because he wanted his license and his card back. You know, well, let me just read everything first. I'm gonna read this article first. These are two articles, and they have some quotes in them. All right. So, first of all, this is the statement um, from his attorney. It was released to the press. He says, "I represent Jamal Charlo, and I saw your story regarding his case. I want to make clear that Jamal stole no money from anyone at the club and made no threats towards anyone. When they ran his credit card, it was declined, and then he received a fraud alert from Chase Bank asking if he made the charge. He responded yes, and they told him to have the charge submitted again. The waitress went to run it again and came back saying she could not find the card. So the bank said that they removed the fraud alert. I guess I told Eric maybe he couldn't get in contact with his bank. Um, you know, because not all banks are 24/7. Eric is right on this point, so I got to give Eric props for this one. He's right that the bank was open, and they actually did remove the fraud alert. All right. So the waitress went to run it again, and she came back and said she could not find his card. So she basically lost his card. So he was upset that he was upset the card was missing. It says Jermall was upset that his card was missing since it was a debit card tied to an account with a substantial amount of money. The waitress had his license sticking out of the portfolio, and he took his license back, saying that he didn't want her to lose that too. By this time, many club owners were gathering in the hallway, so Jamal's handlers wanted to get him out of the club before trouble started, and a club employee walked Jamal out to his car. Hours later, Jamal's assistant made contact with the club to give them another credit card number, but the club refused to accept it. Over the last few weeks, we have talked to police, prosecutors, and the club owner, and although the club owner expressed his desire to drop the charges, the officer insisted on filing the charges to try and embarrass Jamal. At no time did he rob anyone or take any property other than his own. All right. So Eric was saying that he took the binders out of the club. Well, there's another article that refutes that. So I was wrong. He was able to contact the bank, right? And the bank removed the fraud alert. But the waitress lost his card. So he got mad that she lost his card. I have a card with a substantial amount of money on it too. If someone lost my card that's tied to a substantial amount of money in my account, I'd be pissed too. So he grabbed the binders and he wanted his license, right? So here it says here's another article, right? It says, according to the records, Charlo and others were at a bar at San Antonio the night before Charlo's brothers Jermall fought Brian Castano for the undisputed junior middleweight title. According to the police affidavit, Charlo did not pay a large bar bill after his credit card was declined 3 times. So they're saying his card was declined 3 times, which is not correct according to their reports. Okay? It was put on a fraud alert, and then he called the bank, and then they lifted the fraud alert, but then the waitress lost his card, so he was pissed. I'd be pissed too. Bar employees told police that Charlo accused the witness of losing his credit card and demanded she pay the bill instead. The affidavit states the surveillance video shows Charlo going through 2 of the waitress' bill collection binders, which contained his identification and another customer's cash payment. When the binders were returned, police said they were empty. On Thursday, Charlo's attorney, Ken Schaefer, challenged the police's version of events, telling ESPN that the box's payment was initially declined because the bank detected a potential fraud charge. After the payment was authorized, the waitress informed him they had lost his debit card. That's not his fault. Schaefer said the bar staff had agreed to settle the tab of around $2,300 the next day, but by then the police were involved. He wasn't trying to walk the tab. Schaefer said it was very clear he was trying to pay. So Eric said that he left with the binders. The binders did not leave the club, according to this report. While the surveillance video had no audio, the affidavit states that Charlo yelled that he would F y'all's shit up. The Texas Penal Code states that robbery charge is escalated to a second-degree felony if it involves a threat or places in fear of imminent bodily injury or death. The crime is punishable between 2 and 20 years and a fine up to $10,000. Schaefer said that if prosecutors proceed with the case, Charlo will never plead guilty. He didn't rob anyone, Schaefer said. He didn't steal anything from anybody. He never put his hands on one person. Okay? So they don't say how much money was in that binder. Charlo wanted his license back because the lady already lost his debit card. So he was pissed because she lost his debit card after he got the fraud alert removed from his account. So he was able to get in contact with the bank. The binders never left the club. So I don't know where Eric got that one from. And the binders were empty according to the police report, but there's no report from anyone in the club. This is all from the police report, right? There's no statements from the club owner. There's no statements from anyone. So the police were saying the binders were returned and they were empty, which contained his identification and another customer's cash payment. So he wanted his license back. She lost his card. He was upset. And, this was a big mess. And the club owner, according to this report, is going to drop the charges, is willing to drop the charges, but the police want to go ahead with this, right? The police want to go ahead with this. They must have saw something on the video they didn't like or whatever. So again, they put a fraud alert on his card, all right? Called the bank and they removed the fraud alert. And then when he went back to talk to the waitress, she lost his card. So he was pissed that she lost his card that was attached to an account with a lot of money in it, right? So he said, "Give me my license back before you lose that." All right? Did he hit anybody? No. So he raised his voice. Okay. So he grabbed his license back. Okay. They don't even have an amount of money that he stole. So that's the police saying that, right? So the big thing is the charge that he had on the bar, right? So they agreed, according to this story, right? By this time, many club owners were gathering in the hallway, so Jermall's handlers wanted to get him out of the club before trouble started, and a club employee walked Jermall out to his car. So he was walked out to his car because there was a big crowd around him, right? He raised his voice, and sometimes when you raise your voice at a club, what happens? A big crowd goes around you, right? Hours later, Jermall's assistant made contact with the club, wanted to give him another credit card, but the club refused to accept it. All right. So this was a big misunderstanding, basically. And I think the cops are the ones that blew this out of proportion. So I just, again, did Jermall Charlo raise his voice? Probably. Did he throw his hands up in the air? Was he pissed? Yeah. Was he upset that his card was lost? Yeah. Was that card attached to a large amount of an account with a large amount of money in it? Yeah, according to him. So, like I said, my prediction is when it's all said and done, these charges will be dropped, right? If the police want to go ahead and do something with it, I think a judge is going to look at it and say, hey, listen, it's already been settled, right? And that's that. If the club owner wants to drop the charges, right? If the club owner is going to drop the charges, then what's the big deal? My whole thing is this: like everyone is sitting there running this guy's name through the mud. Yeah, is he a loudmouth? Yeah. Does he have the best personality in the world? I don't think so. But just because of that, are we gonna blow this whole thing out of proportion and try to make it look worse than it is just because we don't like who Jermall Charlo is? I'm sorry. I don't think that's right. So they lost. What Eric forgot to tell you, or I don't know if he saw it or not, but they lost his debit card. Said it in two of the articles. They lost his debit card. He was able to get the fraud alert removed from it. But then when he went back to the waitress, she lost his card. So he said, give me my license before you lose that. He was pissed. Right? And the binders were returned to them. He gave him the binders back. Maybe when he grabbed the binders, the money that was in there fell on the ground or something. He didn't know the money was in there. Is he supposed to know that? All he can see is his license sticking out of it. He's thinking that's his stuff. So he probably grabbed the binders. Was there money in there? I don't know. Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. They're saying there was. Then the money probably fell out of the binder and when it fell on the floor. And now they're trying to say he stole the money. Again, guy's a multimillionaire, right? I just have a hard time believing that he's going to try and walk this bar tab. I just have a hard time believing it. It was a simple mistake, and I don't think any of it would have happened if she didn't lose his debit card. She lost his debit card. That's her fault. Did he yell at her? Probably. Okay. That's fine. He was pissed. I'd yell too if someone lost my debit card that had a lot of money attached to it. But this whole thing, the headline, that he committed a felony, facing 3 counts of felony robbery. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. I'm sorry. You know, that's a smear campaign, bro. That's a smear campaign. If that wasn't Jermall Charlo, right, then this wouldn't be a story. Right? It wouldn't be a story. I'm just being honest. I don't think it'd be a story. If this was me in there and this happened, I don't think it would have been a story. All right? Sorry. The binders never left. They never left the club. Took his shit out of the binders and gave him back. He didn't walk off with the money that was in the binders, according to this. Then the warrants were stemmed. Okay, so the warrants were stemmed from a July 16th incident in which the police were called to the Privet Martini Bar and Social Club, where it was alleged Charlo had assaulted. See, now he assaulted a server. What do you mean he assaulted her? By stealing her tips in the process. The situation allegedly began when Charlo's credit card was declined as he attempted to pay his tab, leading Charlo to accuse the server of attempting to steal his card. Well, she lost his card. The incident occurred the day prior to Jermall Charlo His twin brother, Jermall's defense at the AT&T Center in San Antonio. So this whole thing was blown way out of proportion, guys. I'm sorry. He stole no money, according to his lawyer. They ran his card, it was declined, and then he received a fraud alert. So they're trying to make it sound like he had. They're trying to make it look like he had no money in his account originally when they released the story, that he's a deadbeat and he tried to beat the bar for money. Like I just don't think, Jermall Charlo would just get mad for no reason. Like, I don't think it's unrealistic to think and unreasonable to think that if someone loses your debit card, right, with a lot of money on it, right, why you wouldn't be pissed? Could you call and cancel the card? Yeah, of course you could. But then you got to go and wait to get another card. And how could she have lost your card? How could she have lost your card? How many times have you gone into a bar or a restaurant and someone lost your card? There's been times when I've actually left my card there by mistake, and someone at the restaurant picked it up and and I called them and said, "Is it there?" And they gave it back to me. So how did she lose his card? So he grabbed, just like I said, he grabbed his license back. He was pissed off. Then at that time, a whole bunch of people were gathering around him. There was a crowd. He thought there was going to be a scene. People around him that was with him said, "Let's get out of here before something pops off." And you know what's going to happen. If something pops off, you're the one who's going to get blamed for everything. All right? So July 16th, this whole incident, July 16th, the warrant was issued. And I guess he was picked up, or not picked up, he turned himself in on August 25th, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. So let me go back and see when the complaint was actually issued. So you can just make sure that we get this accurate. So yeah, the police were the ones that made a big deal about this, in my opinion. The police were the ones that made a big deal about this, in my opinion. Think about it. So he was this story is from August 25th, right? And he was booked on August. So that August 25th is when he turned himself in, right? August 25th is when he turned himself in. The incident happened July 16th, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, right? So they dragged this out for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And a warrant, like I said, it could be issued in hours, right? It could be issued and processed in hours, or it could take a couple weeks. But if something is a serious issue, they're not going to take 6 weeks to get that warrant processed, right? And then pick him up 6 weeks later, right? So I think this was an act of the cops overreacting after seeing the tape and not knowing the whole story, in my opinion. And here's the statement. Charlo rolling with a bunch of broke motherfuckers. Again, you're being manipulated by the headline. You're one of the naive people that fell for it. The card triggered a fraud alert. Okay? It triggered a fraud alert. He couldn't pay for it because it triggered a fraud alert. Then the fraud alert got removed after he called the bank, and then she lost his card. He had no other card with him. So they blew this out of proportion. They just blew this out of proportion. So I just thought I wanted to put the whole story out there, man, because I don't think that during our debate, no offense to Eric, I don't think that he looked at everything. He looked at all of the evidence here. They lost. The one major thing that was omitted on our debate on Saturday was she lost his debit card, and the fraud alert was removed off his card when he called the bank. So Eric was right. Yeah, he was able to call the bank. It was 24 hours, I guess. My bank isn't. My Citibank isn't, but his Chase is. Okay, that's great. And after he got the fraud alert removed, she lost his card. And I repeat, she lost his card. So he was pissed that she lost his card, so he grabbed the binder and took his license out of it and gave the binders back to her, according to these reports. Eric said that the binders were removed from the bar. I don't see that. Right? So is it reasonable for someone? Let's do a poll in the chat. Let me do a poll in the chat. Let's do a poll in the chat. Let me pull this video up real quick on YouTube. We're going to do a poll in the chat. Would you be pissed if someone lost your debit card? If waitress lost your debit card, I'd be pissed. So now, if you raise your voice, that's considered assault, I guess. Oh, Charlo's a loudmouth. He's this, he's that. Yeah, I mean, you lost his debit card with a lot of money on it. And then he gets the fraud alert removed. And you lost his debit card. So now he can't pay for his bill because not because he didn't have the money, not because his card wasn't cleared from the bank, but because you lost it. So again, the club did nothing wrong here. By her losing his card, that's not a problem. So it's all his fault. Eric was trying to say, oh, well, the card got declined. He couldn't pay for it. Yeah, he could pay for it, but the card got lost. Card got lost. Card got lost. Right? So, like I said, I'm going to stand by it. I think this was blown out of proportion. I think when it's all said and done, the owner of the club will drop these charges, and that's that. So I just wanted to come back on here and, after doing the research, tell the whole story, because I don't think on Sunday the whole story was told. And I'm just getting tired of athletes, being thrown through the mud sometimes. People in certain positions being thrown through the mud just because of who they are. This is another stereotype of a boxer acting up outside. Like, boxing gets enough negative publicity, right? Without having stuff like this being blown out of proportion to add to that. All right. The whole stereotype, a boxer just showing his violent mentality. This is typical of a boxer going out and getting into an altercation, right? Bullshit. No. Oh, well, he's a loudmouth, so I could see him doing something. No. That's not right. I'm a loudmouth too, but I don't want to be convicted of felony of a robbery and convicted of a felony because I'm a loudmouth. I've yelled at people before too after being pissed at them. When I get shitty service, I get upset too. I'll tell you right now, if someone lost my debit card, I'd be pissed too. Because now what am I going to do? I got no money until I can call that bank and get another debit card. So I have no access to money, right? And then I got to go home and use another card. What if that was my card? I have a couple of accounts, and one account has most of my money in it. The other accounts I have, I keep just enough to pay bills with, right? So what if I needed that card, right? Someone stole it, or she loses it. Someone picks it up. They could have made a charge before in that time frame. Then I got to cancel it. Then I got to call the bank and get another one, and I got to wait 10 days to 2 weeks to get another one. It's a pain in the ass. I hate when that shit happens, right? So of course he's going to be pissed. So he grabs the binders. He sees the license sticking out of one of the binders, and he grabs the binders. Was there money in one of the binders? Probably. And the money, after he grabbed the binders, the money probably fell out of the binder and fell on the floor. How many people would you have beat up though? So once again, you're feeding the stereotype. The angry black man. That's racism, brother. You're feeding the stereotype. The angry black man. The tape, he did not touch the waitress. He grabbed his fucking shit back. That's disrespectful, bro. Just because he's a black dude, he's going to beat someone up? That's a stereotype, bro. That's wrong. Sorry. That's wrong. He grabbed his license back. She lost his debit card. What's she going to do next? She's going to lose his license. Then he got to go fucking get another license. She's going to lose all his shit. Right? She's going to lose all his shit. Assault because he wanted his license back. So that's assault now when you grab something out of somebody's hands. And you don't even touch them. You grab your fucking license back because you want your shit back. After she wouldn't give him his license back. She lost his card and she didn't give him his license back. I mean, I got to call it like it is, man. They're stereotyping the dude. They seen a guy with a big guy in shape, right? Probably raising his voice. So automatically they're going to stereotype the guy. Oh, he's going to start some shit in here. But forget about the fact that you lost his debit card. That's wrong, bro. That's wrong. I gotta call for like it is. Like I said, there's enough shit going on in the world. There's enough shit going on in boxing. Boxing gets enough negative publicity. Fighters, get stereotyped all the time just because they're fighters. It's wrong. It's wrong. Tell the whole side of the story. Oh, what's the matter? Charlo can't afford to pay a bar tab? What's the matter? No, man. Come on, bro. That's not right. He ain't going to be able to pay a bar tab if they lose his fucking card. So apparently the fraud alert was removed, but they ended up losing his card. So he was pissed. Yeah, okay. So again, everyone lessons learned. I'm sure he's not an angel, neither is she. But again, why do we have to persecute this guy? Is it unreasonable to be angry? He probably had hundreds of thousands of dollars in that account that was attached to that debit card, and she lost that debit card. Is it unreasonable for him to be upset about that? Is it unreasonable for him to want his license back after being pissed because she lost his debit card? Is it unreasonable for them to not accept a payment from another credit card a couple hours later? These are the things you have to ask yourself. I'm putting myself in his situation, and I would have been pissed too. I would have probably raised my voice too. I would have. I would have. So I'm just calling it like I see it. I don't think, no matter what he did, that according to what I've seen, right? Yo, you're just not gonna let go of it because you wanna character assassinate the guy, dude. They charged him with a felony. He's not a felony, bro. He's not a felon. He's not a felon, bro. He's not a felon because he raised his voice and he grabbed his license out of a binder. Doesn't deserve having his name put out there like this in a negative light. That's all I'm trying to tell you. So you think, if you want to think that this is right, that they're blowing this out of proportion like this, and the headline reads Charlo charged with robbery, felony robbery, right? If you want to think that, if you want to believe that, and you think that's right, and you think he deserves that because they lost his debit card, right? Because they lost his debit card. That's why he couldn't pay them, because they lost his debit card. I bet he wishes. See, at this point, you know what this is? This is just called contrarian behavior. You're just going to take the opposite side. Whatever I'm saying. So you think it's right that the headline reads, after all the evidence I just said to you, okay, thank you. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. All right. And that's what I was trying to say Sunday. The guy did not commit a felony. All right. He didn't take money out of that friggin' club. That money, there was no money on him when he left that club. None. So you can't say that he left for that to be, for him to be charged with a robbery. They're charging him with a felony, okay, because he didn't pay his tab. But he couldn't pay his tab because they lost his card. So that's their fault. But it can't even be theft of service because they lost his card. That's their fault. They lost his card. The fraud alert was removed off of the card, and they lost his card. Just call up, cancel the card. Yeah. But now you don't have a card for 10 days. So now what do? Now you can't pay the people because they lost your card. And now they're telling you they need the money, but they lost your card. Again, like, I think everyone's just lying. You're being dishonest. You're being dishonest and you're lying, and you're not telling the truth. If you're going to sit here and tell me so that means they should lose his debit card. So no one can use a debit card then. Anyone can use a debit card anytime they want. Debit cards have MasterCard and Visa logos on them. So what does that even mean? He shouldn't have used his debit card. So he can't use his debit card because you don't think he should? So that makes him a felony because he's using a debit card that they lost? So it's his fault because he's using a debit card instead of a credit card. That's his fault? That's his choice. Okay, but what you seem to fail to realize is the restaurant was not being cooperative with him. That's the problem. I don't use a debit card either. I agree with that. But you can't tell people not to use a debit card. For years, I used to use a debit card until I learned. A lot of people I know still use debit cards. That's a choice. So you can't sit there and say a credit card can be declined too for a security alert. You don't have the right to tell him what card he can use and what card he can't use. That's not your decision. That's not your right. That's not anyone's right. That's all I'm trying to tell you guys. Exactly, Dante. Exactly. Use any card you want. I don't use my debit card. I use a credit card because it is much easier. Because if you lose your debit card, or if you want to dispute charges on your debit card that's tied to your checking account or savings account, and you file a fraud alert on that, it takes a long time to get your money back. When it's a credit card, it's a much more simpler process. Everyone should learn a lesson from this. Bet if he could, he would have handled it differently. What about her, though? What about the club? What about the club? What about the club? So you just want to take one side. You're not looking at both sides of it right now. You're just taking one side. So it's okay to go into a restaurant, use your debit card, and have them lose it on you. And then because they lose it, you can't pay. That's your fault if someone loses your debit card. So it's 100% his fault. So you've never gotten mad or raised your voice at anybody. You are always cool 100%. So I could go to your house and I could fuck your shit up, or I could take something from you and lose it, and you're not going to get mad at me. You're just going to okay, that's okay, Beeb. Don't worry about it. So you're Iceman. You never get upset. So when someone loses something from you, so if you go to work and it's Friday and they lose your check, right? And you were banking on that check, you're living check to check, and they lose your check, and they tell you, hey man, you know what? Guess what? We ain't going to be able to get your check for for another week. What am I going to do? What am I going to do in the meantime? No, it's not my problem, man. Don't worry about it. We're going to get you that check in a week. So you wouldn't care. All right. So anyone can do anything to you, no, Paul. You are the most virtuous person in the world. You never raise your voice. You never get angry. You've never gotten in an argument with anyone before. Okay, you're the perfect one. I'd love to be like you one day. I agree. Send the invoice. It's not a big deal, but that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. I've been in similar situations. I had to grow up, have to take it. Okay, so for the rest of your life, you can never, ever get mad again. You can never, ever raise your voice. And you can never, ever get in an argument with anyone again for the rest of your life, because you are a virtuous person. You are perfect. And you don't take L's anymore. Okay, that's fine. You're better than the rest of us. You're a perfect human being. Nothing, no one can do it to you. So I could go to your house, take a key, and just scratch your car from fender to fender, and you're not going to care. Don't worry about it. I'll just call the insurance company. It's okay, Beeb. You can do that. I'll just make an insurance claim. It'll get fixed. It's okay, Beeb. Because you're perfect. You don't get mad about anything. All right. That's fine. They lost his card. They should have. Exactly. Again, shitty situation. They lost his card. They should assume responsibility for the loss. Concerning the payment, just agreed. Send in the invoice. That's it. That's it. That's it. So that's one part of the story that was missed. They lost his card. Excuse me. The binders were returned. He took the binders and got his money out of it. But what about the waitress? What about the bar? So you're saying that the bar was 100% correct and he was 100% wrong, which is wrong. You don't think the bar could have handled it better? You don't think the bar blew it out of proportion? I have where I work, I have people yell at me all the time. You know what I do? The customer's always right. I diffuse the situation. I get confronted all the time by people, by people, customers, and the public that I work with. All the time I get confronted. What do? I diffuse the situation because the customer is always right. Okay? Unless the customer physically assaults me, right? Then it is what it is. The waitress was incompetent. She lost his debit card. What about her? And then she's trying to argue with him after she lost his debit card. So once again, you are proving my point. Because he is a high profile individual, it's acceptable for him to be exploited, not her. She could do anything she wants because, as you say, she's a nobody. But he's being held to a higher standard, which is unfair. Okay? Everybody deserves to be treated with respect, regardless of who they are. All right? That's part of the problem. How we have this class warfare here in America, right? All right, guys. I said what I had to say. These charges will be thrown out. All right? Jermall Charlo is not a felon. He's not a robber. Okay? Let's get off his back, everybody. And let's stop trying to tear these fighters down, right? Let's stop trying to tear these fighters down. Let's stop trying to take a look at every headline that's put out there, right? Let's not automatically shit all over these guys, right? Let's not dump on these guys, right? Let's try to give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes. That's it. Let's try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I got to do another video on this this Crawford Porter purse bid delay. Like I said, something smells fishy here. That'll be the next video. I don't want to talk about it now because that's another topic we can talk about. All right, Bieber's out. Thank you so much. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. Stay safe as always. And once again, treat people how you want to be treated. And let's stop shitting on these fighters, guys. Let's start giving these guys the benefit of the doubt. All right, take it easy, everybody. Peace out.